All right. Yo, what's up, guys? So I'm going to be going through, that's way too big. I'm going to be going through weird books for you to write better ads on Facebook. Now, this collection of books, I'm going to rank them. I'll try my best. If I can't rank them, I'm going to put them into a new category for you so that you, as a business owner or someone who's looking to just push your ads to the next level, pump up 9 creatives a day, 20 creatives a day, however many creatives that you want a day, you have a source of information, perspectives that you can use to absolutely fucking send it and crush it. So, yeah, we're gonna go through a few and I'm going to do my personal ranking first, and then after I'll tell you why this might not work for you, and after I'll tell you if you want a more practical approach, how you do it, and then after that, we can look at other ways of thinking about this problem. So let's go here, and we're just going to go through them, and I'm going to run you through what each of these books are kind of about. I've read most of them, um, except for this one. I'm still reading it halfway, but we're still going to rank it. Okay. So for this crystallizing public opinion, this is by Edward Bernays, the godfather of propaganda. And basically what he was talking about, he is the OG top dog of UGC, or I don't know, sponsored posts. He's the guy who came in and thought to himself, shit man, why not get doctors to sell for me? So every time you see a doctor now, it's actually because of this guy. And he's the one that made bacon and eggs a healthy breakfast, right? He's the one that shifted public opinion. And he goes through his works. And I think, if I'm not wrong, this book basically goes through the different ideas that he had put forth, and essentially the first foundational building block of what modern UGC creator, the creator economy looks like. So that's why this is pretty interesting. Thought leadership, if you want to know how to do it, what's happening right there. You want to understand it, have a fresh perspective on the different voices of authority. This would be useful for you. So this isn't really an S tier book. I think that this is more of like a old school book. I would say I'll put this at B tier, right? Crystallizing public opinion. I'll put it here, B tier. Make this a bit bigger. Okay, B tier. Now this one, Mind Control 101. I read this when I was a kid, and it kind of works, kind of doesn't. A little bit too manipulative for my liking. But if you are pretty new to finding hooks, if you want something really practical, if you want to just have like a bunch of techniques thrown at you, in order to think about like how you can start your sales message, how you can communicate your value, how you can, use all sorts of speech patterns, even though they might be outdated, and you want to see how modern NLP slash linguistics ish type work was done, maybe in 2010 to 2020. This book would be really good for you. And this book is just like a smorgasbord of all sorts of different books, not books, but different NLP ideas kind of like mushed together by the guy. The bibliography is okay, not the best, but very, very useful, very, very practical. So I would say, B tier ish, depending on, right? Okay, Brave New World. This one is Aldous Huxley. Oh, yeah. I think that he got high one time. I think he was one of the guys who got really high, and then he never really came. He did come back, and then eventually what happened was that he was all into the new age woo woo stuff, and then he was talking about mind control and stuff like that. So I think that this book, it's a fiction book. You're not gonna get immediate insights from it. You're not gonna get immediate results from it. But if you're playing the long game, if you're building a brand, if you're thinking about, nurturing your customer base, if you're thinking about building a community of people who follow a specific worldview, if you want to lead and you want to be able to shape the way that they think in a very, very practical manner, where you can see how someone has completely constructed a feasible reality of how authoritarian control looks like, this book would be great for you, right? So if you're doing community, doing seminars, you're doing stuff like that, and you want to really get people into believing one thing, it's a lot of like crowd psychology, a lot of putting that entire world together, a lot of, creating new names for different functions of the world. Um, a lot of relabeling the world with your own little vocabulary, right? If you want to do all of these things, if you want to be able to create a raving list of individuals who really always want to buy from you, right? This is how you do it, right? You look at Brave New World, you look through the story, you look at how they how the government is controlling its people, and then you just take the same playbook and run it on your ad. You want to take the same concept, the same ideas, the same ways that they reframe the problem in order to write your ads and get people to buy into your system, because they're not just buying your product, right? They're not just buying your service, they are buying your way of seeing the world. And if you want to do that, then this one is for you. So a bit of a harder read, longer time to apply, probably take 3 months for you to see results with this. So, but I like it, and I don't care. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I put it here. A tier. All right. 1984, George Orwell. This one really, 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 really good book. I first saw it when I was in, I think I was in junior college. It was my first year in junior college, and what basically happened was that I think that was the first time Donald Trump got elected, and that's when advertising or what the media basically said is that truth took a break, right? That journalism was falling down a cliff, that ideas no longer were relevant, the facts were no longer relevant. It was about the loudest person in the room, and then there were all sorts of debates about whole post-truth society, da 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 da, right? And that's when I bought 1984, and I have a copy with me right now. I love the books. I love my books. So yeah, 1984. And you want to be able to think about this and see, like, I mean, when you're writing ads, you don't moralize, like you don't need to save the world, you just need to get your job done. So when you're writing ads, how do people constrain themselves to their beliefs? How do you limit the way that they see the world? How do you kind of eliminate all the other options of what's possible and what's not? So this book really shows you how. I mean, of course it's very, very exaggerated because they need to get the point across. That's just how fiction works, right? But if you take this book, you take the time to read it, right? And if I can convince you to do that, I'd be really happy. I think it'll be a nice experience for you. If you take the time, look through 1984, and you see, like, shit, man, this is what's happening right now. People are rewriting historical narratives. People are, trying to control the words that we use, in our relationships, in our success, in our conceptions of what's real and what's not. There's so many people coming up with all new words, and why do we always come up with these new words? Gen Z, millennial, all of these different concepts and all of these like memeable ideas. Actually, if you think about it at a deeper level, is a form of kind of thought, control, reframe, seeing things in a new way. Because when you limit your language, when you change the way that you see things, that is when you really are able to completely warp someone's sense of perception. And we can put it another way, right? We're not warping their sense of perception. We are, helping them to see the world in a new way, to empower them to do whatever, whatever, whatever. Again, what you do with that is that your own decision, right? But I'm here to show you the tools of how it works. And now, when is this really important, right? When is this going to be very, very useful for you when you want to write new meta ad angles? This is going to be really important for you when you are looking for a new hook or a new concept to test, right? If you have an old claim, right, an old way to describe a problem, right? You have an old label, lose weight fast, or let's say, whatever it is. Um, what's an example that we can go? Say you're selling AI, right? You're selling AI services, AI automation, AI whatever, because that's hot right now. Everyone's going to be selling AI. Everyone's going to be selling chatbots. Everyone's going to be selling voice assistants. So, okay, now you're starting with that. How do you completely change the definition of where your product lives in your prospect's mind? So most people, they just like, oh, my AI does this, my AI does that, my AI does all these things, da 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 da. Da. They try to go down the feature rabbit hole. And then, other copywriters or other marketers or whatever, the old school stuff, they'll be like, okay, what's the benefits of this AI thing? Da 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 da. Blah blah blah. You get X amount of calls, you get this, you get that, da 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 da. And then, your response rate is gonna come up, blah 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 blah. So that is the usual approach to selling AI, right? But if you want to take things to a whole new level and make it seem as if AI is a brand new thing that they must need in their business and it's existential, one person that does this really well is Serge Guattari's AI masterclass. I think props to him. Man's extremely good at selling the end of the world with AI, and I think he believes it, right? So whatever it is, but if you look at the way that he sells AI to people, you're looking at someone who is basically showing you that it is the future, is showing you a techno utopia view of the world. He's showing you VCs, he's talking about management consultants, he's talking about all these different paths to digital transformation. He's making it as if this brand new global agenda that's happening. He's talking about layoffs every single day. So now it's no longer an AI solution, right? It's not just I don't know, a little chatbot that you press a button and then it dials your customers and stuff like that. It doesn't, it's not that anymore. You have completely reshifted that entire product into now this very global narrative of where the world is going, who's going to be left behind, who's going to be ahead, what are the trends and factors that are going to separate the two people, and how you can take this fucking lifeboat and get the fuck out of here before everyone else gets wiped, right? And that is the difference between selling an AI solution and selling a completely new worldview where things are completely going to change, right? And you must do something now, or else the world is going to end for you. And it's not wrong. It is true, right? There are mass technological disruptions happening right now. But how do you connect your story, not even your story, right? Your personal story. I don't give a fuck about your personal story. I'm sorry, I really don't. Um, it's your customer story about where they are in time right now. What are they trying to solve? Who are they trying to become? What are the pressures and the trends that are stopping them from getting to this next level? These are the contexts in which you can write your meta ad, you can write your program, you can write your info product, whatever the hell it is that you want to sell. And this is where 1984 comes in to be really useful, because you can see, if you read through the book, maybe you ask AI for a fucking summary of it, I don't care. When you read through the book, you see how they completely shift the worldview, shift the narrative, shift everything for what's real and what's not, how they create enemies from someone on the inside, right? And now let me flip it on its head for you, right? I want you to see the real perspective as to what's happening. If it is actually true that you are saving them with AI from extinction and you are giving them a material edge, then it is your responsibility to tell them that they need to do this. So if you have a product that you have high conviction for, if you have a product that you think is going to be absolutely phenomenal for them, it is your responsibility to tell them how it works in their life and to change the way that they see the world with it. All right? So that's really, really interesting. That's why I like 1984. It goes on my, I would say, S tier. I think that Brave New World would be S tier, but I haven't read the full book, so I can't do that right now. Okay, next book. Well, it's gonna be long. Okay. Next book: Public Opinion, Propaganda, or Ogilvy on Advertising. So, with Public Opinion, let's do this one. I think that this is one of the best books on copy or even coming up with ad angles in a really long time. I'm gonna put it S tier, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why. If you read through this book, it is basically copywriting 101 before anyone ever discovered it. It is one of the most interesting books that goes through the concepts that are used in 1984. It is the book that talks about propaganda. It is the godfather book, right, of modern um, salesmanship and advertising. Because what he does is that he was one of the few individuals that pioneered this concept called a pseudo environment, an environment that's not completely true, not completely false, but a simplified version of reality that people want to live in order to function in the world, because you aren't able to process everything. And it is one of the first few books that I've read personally myself, even in the 2025, that has gone through this concept. So if you're able to see this, if you're able to see how different people look at problems and how no one knows everything and you need to simplify the world for them, this book will show you the mechanics of how that works, so that it just becomes almost like second nature for you to just write different mechanics, different mechanisms, different views, different perspectives of the world, and what people should do, identity, beliefs, all these things start coming together when you look at public opinion as a book that you can use to ground your ad generation and research methods. So that is why I believe it's an S tier. It's super practical. It goes through multiple case studies. It talks about how war is legitimized. It talks about how all these different things are coming together, and it talks about how even a sense of duty is created. I think it goes through in propaganda as well. So I'm gonna put propaganda at S tier too, um, and because these two are buddy buddies, we put them together. Okay, now we have the Adweek Copywriting Handbook, Ogilvy on Advertising, and the Creative Act. I will put the Creative Act A tier, B tier, B tier. I'll put B tier, right? This book's good. It helps you to tune into your true self. I think the time to get a result from it is probably 6 months. It depends. Um, but it helps you to really be able to feel authentic about your own analysis and trusting your own analysis. Because as someone who's running a lot of ads, as someone who is going to be making a lot of decisions, you're going to get really tired really soon. And if you want to have that stamina in order to continue to do things, to create, to think about new hooks, think about new perspectives, think about new angles, new ideas, you're going to need kind of like that spiritual nourishment to keep going. And this is where the Creative Act comes into place. I think it's like a foundational book for people who want to tune into their own way of seeing the world and trusting their own analysis and judgment, working with trends and putting content out there that sells. So yeah, Ogilvy on advertising, I'm gonna put this and this C tier, these two C tier. Right now, I think that AI is at a point where it can do 90% of most of this work, right? Advertising, copywriting hooks, all of these things, you can kind of get a bot to do it for you, right? You can kind of get a um, an AI Claude. You can prompt it to basically do all of these things for you, and that's not where the value of your work is anymore. So it's better to go upstream here, where you are crafting messages, you are thinking about the bigger picture, and getting AI to execute all this stuff for you. You balance yourself out here, and that's where I see a creative team, or even like a business owner like yourself, looking at being able to run more ads for yourself and having a new perspective at seeing this. So yeah. So last thing, I got a pretty interesting paper for you guys too. Oh, let's see. Is this being recorded? Okay, I think it's fine. All right, last thing, I got a pretty interesting paper for you guys too. I'm gonna zoom in here. Basically, it's talking about generative propaganda. This is an archive paper, and yeah, if you want to be able to see how different people have looked at this. Um, of course, this is like your black hat side of things, but I think that there's a lot to learn from how they are able to create all of this. I think academics, it's a bit dense, the writing, but one thing that they're a lot better at doing than most people is just tracking their sources. So you can just look through this paper if you want. I can attach it below to to yeah to see basically how this whole deepfake stuff is. I don't think that they're very good marketers sometimes, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can take a look at it. They're not that great, but yeah, it's just a good enough way to see this. I think most ecom guys are actually way ahead of these people, but it's all right. Their job's an academic. So yeah, I mean, people are getting on this. So I think right now it's just what's stopping you from getting onto this new way of doing advertising that helps you to basically stay a few steps ahead of the competition, create your own mode, create your own advertising, create your own angles, be able to push the needle forward and to not run out of ideas and to always find new ways to reframe existing problems so that people can find what you say to be relevant to their modern challenges and problems. So, yeah, um, now let's just go into checklist and application. Now, if you want to apply all of these concepts, basically what I would do is just read through all the books. And then after that, just come up with some ideas in terms of like, oh, I like this passage here and how they did this. Let me see what is a simple, easy, and effective way to communicate that in my advertising. Um, in my next benefit headline, in my next uh, story lead, in my next hook, in my next promise, in my next curiosity bullet. How can I use some of these ideas so that I'm nudging the reader into a world that I have created for them and a world that allows the individual to be more empowered or solves their problem. So if you can think about advertising that way, if you can think about creating promotions and products that way, if you can tie things to a specific identity that they want, if you can tie things to a specific benefit that they want, and you are always playing in this game of guidance, you're always aware of the concept of, hooks, views, perceptions, biases, all while writing your ads, that's going to help you to be able to have more variations that keep you ahead of the market. Because the moment that you hit that one-to-one fit, everything that you say about them is everything that they see about the world and everything that they believe in. That's when you win. That's why people like Serge Katari are doing so well right now, doing 10 mil, 1 mil a month, selling AI solutions to basically the mass market through YouTube. And I think that they're doing an amazing job. I think that they're helping people to basically stay ahead of the market. And their programs are good too. I've gone through that. But yeah, um, start using this for your own ads, e-com, direct to consumer, whatever it is, local lead gen. These are all usable. It's a generalized, abstractable, ex, abstractable solution that you can use for any hook. Yeah. Now, if you want my personal help to help you run more ads, let me know. We'll probably connect over whatever. I can put my email or my Telegram down below, and we'll talk from there. All right. Cheers. Bye.